All right, it is time now. We're right on schedule for the Galapagos, and I have invited the agent Javier.
Hello, Dietmar. I'm here.
Yes. Oh, you are perfect.
How are you, everyone?
Oh, good. Can you make your? Do you have your camera on, or are you just gonna talk?
I just have a very unstable connection today. So
Okay.
if I start using my video, it will get worse. I'm really sorry with everyone. I will.
Javier, can you just talk a little bit about this picture, where this is, and what this means?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, first, I really would like to welcome everyone here to encourage people to come to Galapagos because there is a lot of wrong information on the internet. Come to Galapagos, it seems or it looks like difficult. The process has been very easy to come here. Here we can have a picture of actually my favorite island. It's called Bartholomew. If you want to come to Galapagos, there are two options. You can visit the uninhabited parts only, and if you want to see the landscapes, the highlights, or if you want to visit the park areas, the highlands, it is also an option.
Let's get right into the Galapagos themselves. So it's considered one of the world's most foremost destinations for wildlife viewing. We're about 850 nautical miles from Panama, 700 miles from Colombia, 500 from the mainland, 1,500 nautical miles from Chile, and 900 miles from the southern tip of Mexico to get there. From your perspective, where do most people come to when they get to the Galapagos? Where do they jump off from?
From Panama, really.
Yes. Would you say 80, 90% leave from Panama?
Yes, there are some people coming from Costa Rica as well. And recently, I had a couple of clients coming from Guatemala, from the west coast of the US.
Of course, then a jumping off point for folks who head further out. And from there, it's about 1,850 miles to Pitcairn, which then gets you into the Gambiers and the southern portion of French Polynesia. It's 2,850 to French Polynesia straight, and then 4,000 nautical miles up to Kiribati. If you opt to not go to French Polynesia, that would be the jump up. Now we're going to basically the Volcanic Islands. So these are outlined here on the right. Javier, tell us a little bit about the characteristics of these islands, if you will.
Yeah, sure. Galapagos, it is a really good place if you love nature because you will see, animals all around the way. Even in towns, you can see big sea lions, you will see marine iguanas. This is a good time to come to Galapagos because it is very sunny. It is from December to May or June. Okay.
Galapagos is affected by the Humboldt current, or the coastal countercurrent, and which gives Galapagos two seasons. And the two seasons are the hot season, which is November through May, and then the cooler and dry season from June to October. The cooler waters then cause less clouds, which then results in less rain. So right now you are in the sunnier season, is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
For those of you who are thinking of sailing from Panama, here are the pilot charts with regards to wind direction. We have those obviously listed also on the website, but we just want to go over them. Between now and February, you see very few moments of no wind. And unfortunately, if you're going from Panama, you see there's definitely wind 57% of the time coming towards you. So you will definitely have to tack back and forth or use a more coastal route. In March, you start looking at much more periods of calm, which would make for better motoring using the current to get there. And you can start seeing a beam of about 30% of the time for that route. That then increases even more in April. As late as May, you can start seeing still a different veering of these winds as you're coming from Panama towards it. Kevin and Carla, I'm not sure if they're on the call, they sailed from Puerto del Sol, which is Nicaragua, to the Galapagos last year, and they have signed up for this season's Pacific Posse, so they'll be a good resource for you. And it kind of shows you their tax in order to make it to the Galapagos. We just looked at weather this morning, and as you can see, there is an opportunity to go and just motor across. If you time your winds right, if you leave in 2-3 days from now, you actually have a great weather window. Or use the lifting winds out of Panama to make your way halfway or 3/4 way down the coast of Colombia and then tack across there. Javier, can you talk a little bit about how has it changed now? Can you tell us a little bit about what's available, where a boat can go, and if we set aside money for a second, where are boats able to go and where people not able to go on their own boats?
That process, it is not really hard. Once you are here, if you decide to visit the park areas, we only have to apply for a cruising permit with the Galapagos National Park Directorate, and that's it. We only have to hire a naturalist guide on board. We have to apply for an itinerary. This itinerary must be approved first. And after that, we have to pay the cruising fee, which is $200 per person per day on board, plus 25% of as a guarantee for in case of any incident or something when you are sailing the protected areas. What I really suggest you it is come to visit the ports. You know, the 3 inhabited ports in San Cristobal, Santa Cruz, and Isabela,
Yeah.
and using local tour operators to go to the another islands, precisely where the park areas, and it is easier and cheaper.
Okay, copy that. So go through Puerto Baquillarizo, Moreño. What's the other one? Puerto Ayora, and then Puerto
Yes.
Villamil.
Correct.
So those are the 3 ports basically where you would leave your vessel, and these are anchored, right? There's no marinas in all of Galapagos.
Yeah, there are no
moored.
marinas because you know all the Galapagos it is a national park, so that is why there are no marinas. So you have to use your anchor when you come here.
And can you leave your boat on a mooring or not?
Not really, not really. You have to use your anchor.
And the next question I have for you is, of course, safety. How safe is it to say leave your boat in Puerto Villamil and then take a 1 or 2 day excursion? Are there incidents of theft, or is it pretty safe to leave your boat at anchor there?
Yeah, it is. It is actually it is pretty safe here, but just in case we have a service for watchmen or something. In general terms, you know, it is very easy here. No robberies. It's very safe.
Yeah, copy that. Then, of course, let's talk about dive sites. What's the best procedure to go dive some of those amazing dive sites that you have in these areas?
Yeah, it works the same as when you are in the port. You can use local operator to dive for a day. When you're in Santa Cruz, there are many places to go for diving. For example, one of my best places is Gordon Rocks, which is just right where you are pointing right now.
Yeah.
Gordon Rocks, North Timor, many sharks over there. Well, in Santiago, in Bartholomew Island, you know, you can see a lot of sea lions, marine turtles, and hammerhead sharks.
Copy that. So these are really easy to get to dive sites. Can they be done in a day, or do you tend to spend overnight on those dive boats there?
No, it is a daily tour. But if you want, you can take a, you know, live aboard cruises for diving as well.
Okay.
For 3 or 4 days.
So again, in a good nautical, there's basically a place you will check in here. There's another port here, there's another port here. And these are the areas which we currently have, because obviously most people don't necessarily go anchor on their own boat because they want to avoid those rather substantial fees if you do it on your own boat. These are some of the anchorages that we know that local tour operators kind of use. Is this about the extent of the areas that people use and visit there, or are there more?
Yeah, those are the more usual places.
Okay, copy that. So here's Javier, that's a picture of his. Is that information still accurate? Is your email correct? Is all of that still good?
Yes, it is still the same one.
All right, good. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over so people can actually ask you some questions. Okay, so Ian has a question for you. if we use a port, do we still need to meet the inspection permit and itinerary?
I mean, there are two options to come to Galapagos: to visit only the inhabited ports, and besides the inhabited ports, to visit the park areas on board your vessel. We have to do a quick inspection once arrival in Puerto Vaquerizo Moreno, the check-in port. Okay, so you need the permit, but you don't need the itinerary.
So please go ahead if that answers your questions, if you got any other questions.
Yeah, I was wondering if all three aspects were still required, and as I understand it, it's the permit and the inspection are still required, but the itinerary would not be. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. That's us. Thank you.
Anybody else has any questions about the Galapagos? You have a man on the line right now who can answer these questions for you. Javier, it's Michael from Tecolote. Hold on. Michael, I'm going to unmute you.
Oh, good. Thanks, Dietmar. Thanks, Javier. Javier, it's Michael from Tecolote.
Michael, how are you? Very nice to hear from you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you again. I'd like to say to everybody that's listening that Javier did an extraordinarily good job for us as an agent in Galapagos, and we highly recommend him. Again, you did a terrific job for us, and I very much appreciate it.
It's really nice to hear from you. Please say hello to all your team.
Will do.
And then we have a question from Kevin. Kevin, go ahead.
Hey guys, it's Kevin. Thanks for putting this together. I was just curious, is the visa process pretty straightforward? And I assume it's still the 90 days?
Yeah, the process is very easy, but now tourists are allowed to stay in Galapagos only 60 days.
Yeah, copy that. Thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
Speaking of visa process, how is the COVID situation evolving in Ecuador? I know you're pretty close on the mainland even to get to 70% dual vaccination rate. What's the story on the Galapagos Islands right now?
We are very good here. The population has been vaccinated, and we have really low cases. The last week there were just like 5 cases or so.
Okay, copy that. And how is vaccine availability on the island? If somebody comes through, can you get a vaccine, or is it only for locals?
Everyone who needs the vaccine, you can get it here. Of course, I mean there were Pfizer, but now there is only AstraZeneca.
Other questions for the Galapagos? Please come now.
Yeah, from Brian, I think he is asking about pets. Pets are not allowed to Galapagos anymore. Only in case that you have an emergency to call in port for fueling or medical assistance. But if you want to planify your visit here, pets are not allowed anymore.
The next question we have, if we have to conserve data energy by leaving for areas we won't be visiting, can we get on again later?
Yes, absolutely.
Brian, what does a cruising permit cost? I unmuted Brian so he can chat. Brian, go ahead.
I was curious what the cost was if you do not leave the inhabited anchorages. Like if you're in the designated anchorages, what does a cruising permit cost? You mentioned $200 per person per day if you do leave, but what was the cost if you stay in the anchorages?
We have to make calculations because there are some fees involved, vessel gross tonnage, you know, the park fees and other fees that must be calculated according to the number of people on board. But feel free to email me for that option.
Copy that. So what is if you're just cruising through and using it as a way to chop off your leg to the Marquesas, for example, what is a typical vessel budget? 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 for going through the Galapagos?
A vessel with 2 people on board, let's say 10 gross tonnage or 12 or 15 gross tonnage.
Yeah.
With all the government fees or services, it could say $2,000.
Somewhere in the $2,000 to $3,000 range for most vessels in order to go through the Galapagos.
That's right. That's an average. Paying that money, you can stay like 60 days.
Yeah. Oh, we get it. Yeah. Okay, it's just, obviously because the calculations are on a per vessel basis and per crew basis, people will just want to get an idea, and we want to have that information available for everybody.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
The important takeaway for the visa process is they've reduced it now to 60 days from 90 days. You know, we're coming to an end here with regards to Galapagos. Anything else you want to let people know? Any questions?
I have heard from my clients, from many of my clients, that they say, "Oh no, we want to skip Galapagos because it seems like it is expensive or it is, complicated to come there." But when we start to work, when we start to deal with, they can realize that in fact everything was very straightforward. But you need, the correct guidance to come here, and that's our job. If, for example, in my case, because I am 100% responsive about with my clients, if they need any assistance or if they need any information about the Galapagos or the rules, we are always here. Even before you come, when you are here, we have agents in each inhabited port, so you will have full assistance every time. Come here because it is not difficult, because you will experience another place on earth.
Oh, we always hear these stories about people not having their hull cleaned, or somebody looking through a little orifice and there's something lurking in there. What's the best experiences that people have had when it comes to hull cleaning and entering Galapagos waters? Because obviously the hull needs to be clean.
First, I would like to start. On my whole life working in this industry, more than 15 years, and I have assisted 500 boats. Not even the 10% of the boats have problems with the hull. It happens, but it is not usual. The hull must be very clean. It has to be clean enough when you arrive here. The authorities, they are looking to prevent the introduction of alien species. What I suggest my clients, it is to have a look one day before arrival, and of course, if the sea conditions, if you can do it, to have a look and clean it.
We have a question here. Here's a group of 3, almost 4 vessels. Is there a group discount? There is if you're part of the posse, I'm sure. Javier will give you a discount. But the government usually doesn't give you a discount. Is that right?
The government does not. I can give you a discount. And of course, as a part of the Panama Post, you have discounts on tours, our local operators. You can get until 15% off.
So you get tour discounts and with Javier himself. So Giancarlo, hold on. Let me see if I can.
Thank you very much, Javier, for the information. There might be 2 or 3 boats, maybe more, coming together, and that's why I was wondering if there was an incentive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, just contact me and we can deal.
Okay.
You will be very welcome.
Where are you currently?
We are in Costa Rica at the moment, in Golfito, but we plan to go back to Panama to get some bits and pieces for the boat, and then head off to Galapagos towards the end of February, and friends that want to join as well. Just ask another question. In the Galapagos, from what I understand, you can't really use your dinghy, or you can't leave your dinghy ashore, so you need to get transportation or taxis, is that right, if one wants to go ashore?
Yeah, you can use your dinghy to back and forth from the pier and your boat. The only thing is that, for example, in Puerto Ayora, the big city, the main dock is very busy and there is no place to tie up your boat. And there are water taxis 24/7. But for example, in San Cristobal and Isabela Island, the water taxis, they only work until 6 p.m. And after that, you can use your own dinghy to back and forth.
There's also another reason that some of the sea lions may use it as a bed.
Yes, yeah. In San Cristobal, once you are here and you will see the tons of sea lions in San Cristobal, you will think about it and will skip to leave your dinghy at the pier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is not forbidden. It is allowed as long as you use it to back and forth from your vessel.
I want to thank Javier for being part of this call. And again, here's the contact information. This is Javier and with Yacht Agents Galapagos. Thanks for being on the call.